All right, everyone, we're just filing in. We'll get started here in just a moment. Hey everybody that's filing in. We are just getting ready to start our wrap-up show today for the big Xbox Bethesda 2022 Game Show. We can't wait to hear some of your takes. We obviously have some opinions up here too. We're hoping that Kevin can make it back with us. If you're not familiar, Kevin is Korkenstein on the subreddits, and he was actually able to attend the show live today. So he shared some footage with us earlier. I imagine that he's probably a pretty happy camper right now, but we'll wait to get his takes on things. So what did you guys think of the show, Mikey and Ivan? I have some opinions, but I'm going to sit on them for a second here.
Do we want to do an overall rating?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. So how did you feel overall about the show?
Overall, beginning and end, and given the middle, I give it a combined score of like 7.5, 8. I was a little worried midway through the show. There's games that pique me. But they really emphasized the next 12 months. We got nothing past that, so that's why we didn't get Avowed. You know, I said Avowed might come 2022. We heard some good things, but that very much tells us that it's probably fall 2023 or early 2024. There's no mention of Indiana Jones, no Fable, no Gears, Banjo, Wolfenstein, no Contraband, nothing from Compulsion Games. A lot of the things we had talked about before, because as a user said actually in the subreddit, I didn't know beforehand they emphasized that they were going to talk about the next 12 months. So people that are looking forward to a lot of those titles that I just said, that's why they weren't there. They only showed things coming to Xbox over the next 12 months. With that being said, you know, some of the showstoppers for me, I didn't know Diablo 4 looked that incredible. I had seen some stills and screenshots and maybe even some GIFs. The Hideo Kojima announcement was absolutely wild.
Yeah,
that was the one thing that broke the 12-month rule, because he even said this will take a little while. So it means he's working on something that is worth it. And Starfield, I was expecting to be whelmed. And for people, I saw some people talking about frame rate. If you go look at the trailer that's separate from the live stream, it looks better. The frame rate's not an issue. The stream seemed iffy for me. I went and watched some gameplay after we watched it there, and frame rate looked fine. That stole the show for me. I expected to be whelmed, and I was overwhelmed. Especially towards the end, they kept talking about different mechanics and stuff. Absolutely incredible. Grim, what did you think?
I have to agree with you. I think it was somewhere around like a 7, maybe an 8. And mostly because it's like, you know, you're coming off the heels of basically telling people they gotta wait for games. And then you show things at your showcase where it's like, also get ready to wait for these, you know, but this is what's coming. You know, it's like we didn't really have anything that's like, oh, you could play this right now. You know, go check it out. Like, or at least not enough of it. And even though Starfield did steal the show and Kojima came in and stole the show, like those are like, well, I mean, Starfield we already know, but like the Kojima thing, that's like, you know, like fan theory stuff. It's like, oh, Kojima's going to be working with Xbox, and or even the Persona games, like, oh, Persona's coming to Xbox. Like, it seems like fan theories, but at the same time, it's like you get that and it's great. but then you miss the Final Fantasy, and then you miss like Banjo, which is like, I mean, how hard would that be? I mean, that seems like the no-brainer. That seems like the thing we would expect, and it's like, well, Kojima not showing up. I mean, do we really believe that? So it's like it was like a weird thing like that. But yeah, I just think yeah, about 7, and I just kind of wish there was more things for us to just go at and start playing. But like, there wasn't really many release dates on things, so it's like, oh, it's coming to day one Game Pass whenever that day one is, and I do think that that's the negative of the Game Pass model. Like I mentioned before, where it's like they don't have to worry about hitting certain like quarters anymore. They, because it's coming to the service, it's already basically sold. But that makes it a little weird for us as subscribers, because it's like, well, when are we gonna get the game?
Yeah, there was no day one drops. We didn't get that, and we were all expecting that. Like I mean, some of us expected a lot of them, and I'm in that camp. And there's a lot of rumors that were being discussed that just didn't come to fruition. I very my major disappointment is that we didn't see Final Fantasy VII Remake today. I think I've spoken about that, and at this point, I mean, I own it on Epic Game Store. I bought the game, and I was just like, you know what, I want to experience this in a certain way, so I'm just gonna sit and chill on it. And I cannot for the life of me figure out why this isn't coming to Xbox at this point. It hasn't been announced for Xbox. I mean, the hype was that Sony had removed the exclusivity tag on it in their own store, and everything seemed aligned. We were also told that we are going to be getting news from the developer of the game. I believe they said that they have maybe a show regarding Final Fantasy VII Remake, maybe next week or something. Square Enix said it is, and at this point, I'm kind of resigned to that's going to be an announcement of maybe part 2, and maybe Sony just has a stranglehold on them. It's just not meant to be, and I'm going to give it another week, and if it doesn't happen, then I'm going to go through and play on the Epic Game Store, just because this was my moment for me. I was like, okay, if it doesn't happen here, I'm just going to finally experience that. But besides missing that, and besides that, we didn't get a single day one Game Pass drop today, which how do you not do that? I feel like why not light up some kind of weird deal, just give us some kind of weird freebie that you can be like, yes, dropping now, and that always builds a lot of buzz. So I'm a little disappointed in that. The show itself flowed pretty well for me. I had a good time watching it. I think you guys did too. There were only a couple parts that really dragged, but a lot of the stuff kind of was just like whelmed. I guess that is a good word. But when we got to that Starfield trailer, like, oh man, like that totally blew me away. And I think we were all expecting gameplay, but that just hit every right note for me. So overall, I'm gonna give the show, I think I'm with you guys, like a 7.5. I think it was adequate. I don't think it hit the notes that I really, really wanted, but I'm also not disappointed at all. The next year on Xbox looks like it's going to be a really good time. The Kojima game, I think it's called, what is it called again? Overdose? Is that correct? The rumor anyway?
That's the rumored title, Overdose.
Yeah, he didn't even drop that today. Like, we barely got anything other than the confirmation. I haven't been able to go out on the internet to see reactions to this yet. I imagine they're wild. I'm pretty excited actually to dive in on that. Not in the sense that I want to gloat or I'll be like, yeah, Xbox got one, but it's just, that's a big move and kind of industry shaking. I'm under the impression that Sony kind of fupad Kojima, and like they said, they weren't really interested in what he wanted to do, and maybe that opened the door for Xbox to sneak in here and make that happen. So I was there's a lot of stuff to be excited about. Some things that didn't appear that I wanted to see, and overall, yeah, I mean, I think they did an adequate job. I'm pretty okay with it. So. But that Starfield, oh my god, guys, that was just so amazing.
Yeah, they did Starfield. If we just want to dive into that,
yeah, let's do.
I was expected to be whelmed, given everything that we'd heard about it, that the flight mechanics were trash, combat trash or whatever. Combat, I still have to wait and see the feel of it. The sounds of everything, including space combat, were incredible. Flight to me looked actually really good. It felt spacey. I don't know what, like it looked like what is it, Frontier? Oh, there's a space sim game. I'm trying to
I want to come in and help you here, but I don't know if I can.
But it felt like space flight. It looked good to me. It looked fantastic. Some of the details on the ground, like what I was focusing on through we'll call it the tutorial mission, the first mission that he was doing. As he's walking out, it's a moon landscape, so it's going to be bland. But if you looked at the surfaces, the incredible detail on just the ground, on the walls around them and stuff, and how it was an incredible touch of realism that I didn't expect to see. And as he moved throughout the world, more and more came about. They started talking about the building aspect, that top-down editor, building your own base, building your own ship. That was like each little piece he was taking off and putting on. Areas you can walk into, areas you can use for other things, maybe defense, offensive capabilities, defense, like who knows what all that's for. That looked incredible, like actual editors that function, not walking around the map like Fallout 4 placing buildings and tanks and stuff and it looks good enough. An actual proper editor looked fantastic. I don't know what your guys' thoughts were, but like some of the worlds when you walked into some of the cities, and they were fantastic. That looked incredible to me. The depth of some of the cities were amazing. And I know we're getting 1,000 planets or whatever, or 1,000 solar systems with planets about. I can't remember which one was quoted. A lot of those will be generated, but what you'll get is a lot of set piece cities throughout this galaxy. As mankind's expanding, sort of. So you have these centerpiece cities that you'll go to, and they looked incredibly well crafted and interesting to me.
Yeah, it looked
like when we were watching it, I mentioned like, oh, this kind of reminds me of like what Starbound did. Like Starbound sort of had like that as like a foundation where it's like, oh, you go to all these different planets, and like you said, as you get further away from like a point of interest, it becomes more resources rather than like civilizations. But yeah, I mean, the space combat, I even mentioned like, oh, this is like bringing me back to Star Wars Galaxies, and that's not to like downplay Starfield. Like Star Wars Galaxies, in my opinion, was ahead of its time when it came out with Jump to Light Speed, and I just wanted that space combat again, and the fact that I can build my own ship. I mean, this is like the evolution of that, because building your ship and that was just parts, like your armor and engines, but all at the end of the day you're still flying a TIE fighter. Maybe the lasers would change colors, but on this it's like you could basically probably make a TIE fighter if you wanted to, from scratch, and it looks so good. And I did like the base building 4 a little bit. It got a little annoying with the Minutemen always chiming in, but like this one seems like it's a lot more autonomous, where it's like, oh, you find an NPC and they make sure everything's cool. I wonder if there is going to be like people who try and invade it, like while you're off doing a space mission, it's like, oh, your base is under attack, hurry back. That might be pretty cool.
Lots of cool stuff here. I've always understood Starfield as Fallout in space. I guess that was my kind of end goal for the game. I was like, if you can give me that, I'm going to be happy. And watching this trailer really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And at first I was like, okay, it kind of looks like I Fallout in space. It's checking the boxes for me. But as we revealed it, you guys talked about like the base building aspect, resource management. I think, Ivan, you mentioned something maybe about a throwback to Star Wars Galaxies, and I think what you were saying is you saw like a harvester almost. When you were saying that's what I saw on screen anyway, and it reminded me of that. Like if I can just go out to a planet and like set up my camp and build an establishment, I loved that in Fallout 4, but as Mikey was saying, that the mechanics were kind of hit and miss. If you wanted to place a floor down, well, the thing would be levitating. You'd put it on a hillside, it'd just be kind of goofy, and that actually kind of transfers over to Fallout 76. But what we were seeing here was a totally different level. Like it was so detailed, and everything went like it just fit together nicely. Like everything looked like it should, and nothing was floating, and all the different things that they were building looked really cool. But I tell you what, and maybe I missed this, guys, I did not realize that there was going to be space combat like that. Like they flew into space, and I'm like, oh cool, I knew you get ships and explore planets, but then all of a sudden, like, they started blowing ships up, dude. It looked like something right out of a Star Wars movie. Like when they'd explode, man, there was shrapnel going everywhere. The sounds were kind of like thuddy and muted, like you would expect in space. I guess in space technically there wouldn't be sound, but when you watch a movie like this, they always like give you that kind of laser beam blowing up sound.
Yeah, they got to give you something. They don't want it to be totally empty, so they're like, well, what's realistic if we were to have sound?
This is the sound if you were inside the ship.
Yeah, it was thuddy. Thuddy's a good word. It was very gritty, and the shrapnel and stuff, and that detail as a ship exploded, it looked really nice. At first when they landed, I'm like, okay, well, they're not gonna show us space flight because apparently it's not ready and they're retooling it. Nope. It looked great to me. If anyone's complaining about the space flight, what do you expect for a starship in space without gravity and stuff? You have thrusters, and it's not like a plane. You're not fighting against gravity. You're rotating throughout an area that doesn't have any pull anywhere. So it looked fantastic. I stole the show, and a lot of people wanted it to. I didn't expect it to. I was low on it. I wasn't hyping it at all, and I should have been.
I thought we'd see 5 minutes at the start of the show and be like, oh, that was cool, but it landed so amazingly for me. Like, I think we were all watching it, and there were a few moments in the show where we definitely were just like, oh, we had a few of those, so I'm glad that happened. But I'm rewatching the Starfield footage right now, and it's at the point where they're on that moonscape. The first planet, I believe, is called Crate. I don't, something like that, and you can see a mile away, and like even when you're looking that far into the distance, like all those mountains have little ridges, and like the detail is just top notch. So I think this is a game that is going to push the Series X, and it's going to have that real next gen feel that we've been wanting, new gen if you will. But it's gosh guys, I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, and one thing, and I don't know how many people are actually talking about it or whatever, I think they're just so blown away by the visuals of the actual game, but I actually really liked the theme, if you will, like when you were seeing the character creator and just that, like, I don't know, that very clean, I don't know, like when I think of something like a space venture, like in my head, like as a kid or whatever, it would be that sort of theme where it's like sort of Star Trek-y, but not really, because obviously then you just think Star Trek, but it's like, you know what I mean? It had that focus, like that wondrous look of space. And when they were doing the different sort of perks and stuff, I'm like, I just like looking at this menu, like this is good. When I play Fallout, I have a certain menu. When you play Elder Scrolls, you have a certain menu. If this is the menu that's going to be for the Starfield franchise, hopefully it turns into one, I'm all about it. Like that hit the nail right on the head for me.
There was a point where they pulled back like maybe the talent screen, and it had like 82 choices on it, and I was just like, oh man, this looks great. And that seemed to be different than another talent screen that they showed where they talked about how you could level up different abilities multiple times. They had like a 1 to 4 meter on it, so I'm really interested to find out more about the character building and how that's going to play out, because that was they gave us a preview of it, but obviously not a lot of context on it. I'm interested in different classes. When they introduced one of the characters, they said that they were a diplomat and they had, discussion skills, and we can tie this back into Skyrim, how that's always been kind of a thing, but I hope it is a little more developed in this game. I think part of the reason that they decided to delay it is really obvious now after you saw everything that's going into this game. I felt like the space stuff could have been a game by itself just from what what was shown, so I can't imagine what's going on in that studio with all the different parts of this game. There's a whole team dedicated to the settlement establishment kind of thing. There's teams working on every part of this, and when it all comes together, gosh, I think we're in for an amazing ride. So I see that we have some people in the audience here. Welcome everybody. We're just really juiced and can't wait to rip into this, but we would love to hear from you as well. So we're going to invite those of you that raise your hands up on stage and get your reactions, what you thought was the highlight of the shows, and what maybe you thought was a low light. I did want to get into Diablo 4 when we were watching that trailer a little bit. I said probably several times, I'm like, I don't think this is Diablo, guys. This doesn't look like it's Blizzard quality. But the Necromancer, like all the skills, like the first thing they showed was a corpse explode, and I'm like, oh well, yeah, that's Diablo. But I mean, and then once they got into the gameplay, I was like, this is Diablo. Like it really won me over by the end of it. It's just the cinematic didn't grab me right away, so that was another highlight for me. Was there anything kind of smaller that really stood out to you guys that maybe isn't going to make as much noise?
The two games that stood out to me there's actually 3. Arc 2 when it drops finally. I'm sad that we didn't get gameplay. I really wanted to finally see some Arc 2 footage, but as Grim called while we were watching it, we're gonna get Vin Diesel on the dinosaur.
It was terrific.
There he was. But Wulong grabbed my attention, and so did Flintlock. I'd like to see more of Flintlock. It doesn't look to be. It looks kind of like Forspoken, but Forspoken has a much more focus on magical abilities and stuff from that. What we saw from Flintlock seemed a little bit more grounded. but it seemed combat oriented with some bosses and stuff, and it looked really interesting. So I'd like to see more about that. Those were my three that I saw that grabbed my attention.
Yeah, that one actually kind of popped out of nowhere to me. I was like, what are we looking at here? And then as the trailer kept going on, I was like, what are we looking at here? And then by the end of it, I was like, okay. And Grim knew that one too. Ivan just was calling everything today. If you guys happen to watch the live stream later, this guy was ahead of the game by like 5 minutes. We thought he was a Microsoft insider at one point. We were really
I called the Minecraft Legends title too.
Yeah, that was a joke though. That's the funny part. It was just like, Minecraft Legends,
Then all of a sudden it comes up, and sure enough. So, welcome to the stage, Nate. We haven't heard from you in a while, so I'm just gonna open the mic to you. Just kind of tell us what you want to tell us.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. We're excited to hear from you. So, what did you think of the show?
Yeah. Well, I liked it a lot. I saw some people complaining that there were a bunch of indie games, and I'm like, screw you. I mean, there's a ton of developers out there. There's always going to be indie games. People are complaining, where are the big AAA games? Well, people think that you can just shit out a AAA game in like 6 months. No, they take 4, 5, 10 years. And there are people on the sub now complaining about it. But I'm not commenting on that. What I wanted to talk about was actually I'm a fan of these survival, crafting, farming type games.
Me too, Nate.
So, yeah, and I'm really excited for Lightyear Frontier. Looked pretty good.
Yes.
But when that mech crashed down and stood up, I'm like, oh, is this baby's first mech warrior? Because, you see this field of flowers, and then all of a sudden they start sucking up materials, and it looks pretty cool. I'm excited for Grounded because I buy games even with Game Pass, and as soon as that was launched on Game Preview, I picked it up, and I've been kind of sitting on it the whole time waiting for 1.0, and then they said, they announced, the 1.0 is coming, and then all of a sudden it said September, and I'm like, oh, damn it, now I gotta wait a few more months. It is what it is. I've been waiting patiently for like a year or whenever. Another thing that interested me was the Starfield shipbuilding, and I'm wondering how in-depth that's going to be. Like, will your ship spin out of control if the weight is not balanced, or if you've got too many thrusters on one side? It'd be kind of cool to see what it's like.
That's a great question. Yeah, like if you only build one wing on it, are you just going to be spiraling through space, or?
Yeah, and I don't know. This was not in the show, but I noticed Valheim is listed on the upcoming games for 2022.
Yep.
Has that been announced previously, or did that just kind of magically appear on this chart?
Not that I knew of. I was going to bring that up because you were talking about your love of these games, and Grounded and Lightyear Frontier, and then we also have Valheim.
Yeah,
that snuck its way into the Game Pass section, so that's a huge grab.
Which had
for people
few
who
moments. That game was like the viral darling for a couple months, and still very heavily played. So that's exciting.
Absolutely incredible game in that genre. So for that to be coming to Game Pass, big grab, big get.
Yeah, I think so too. And the
Minecraft
Legends looks pretty good too.
I was kind of lukewarm on that. It had a little bit of a tower defense feel to me, and it's not exactly that. It's kind of a base builder, and they unleashed that looked like the portal unleashed, and the horde's going to come at you, and it seemed really interesting, and I just need to see more of that, but I think it's a great way to take the Minecraft IP for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it looked to me like you can build structures. I mean, you can in an RTS game, but this looked more like more actual like Minecraft-like building in some ways, unlike the dungeons, which is a pretty cool game. But I think Minecraft Legends is more up my alley.
Yeah, well, people like to give Mahjong a lot of grief. Kind of, they're like, just what are they doing over there? It's a $1 billion game, and the updates for the base game are kind of slow, maybe.
People talk about them having like 1,000 employees,
right.
And why did it take them 6 months for updates? But they could have several projects we don't know about.
I think that's it. I think they're trying to expand the IP, and they're trying some different things, and this is just another way for them to go with it. So I'm.
Now, one more quick thing I noticed about the Legends is that it looked like cell shaded to me, which is, it looks good with the graphics.
It was a different direction for sure. I noticed that as well.
Well, when I play the Minecraft, I play with a pure BD Craft, which is a cell shaded texture pack.
That's amazing. I use the same pack. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
that's
awesome.
great.
Oh wow. Okay.
All right. Well,
I'm a Sonic Shaders fan, so there's mine.
Boo,
Sonic
I'm
to lose.
Well, overall, yeah, I thought it was a pretty good. I'd give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Sounds good. What didn't it show that you really wish had shown?
Well, I mentioned last time I try not to have expectations.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I remember.
I don't know. I thought they might have showed another Banjo game, but
yeah, we didn't get any. I kind of mentioned it when we were watching the show that I thought they would come out with some more family-focused titles, and I'm not sure if we really saw that today outside of Minecraft, maybe.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how my what was that thing? The I'm sorry, I'm blanking out.
It happens to the best of us.
The contest thing. What's it called? The predictions. Yes. I forgot what my predictions were.
No,
so
that's okay. Actually, Kevin had set that up. Kevin was down on the floor today, first row. He was teasing us with all of his amazing, footage and all that. But we will resolve the predictions later today. And
nice.
I forgot what some of the questions were already, so we're gonna have to go through and see how that works out and see who the real prediction champion is. That's great.
Yeah. All right, I'll let someone else speak now, but I'll talk to you guys soon.
Fair enough. Great to see you, Nate. You have a good week, and good to see you.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Also, Nate, if you're still in here, listening or whatever, be sure to check out Nightingale. It's on PC. I think it was announced on the previous show, the Game Fest, and that looks like a good survival game with like magic and stuff. So it's pretty cool if you're into that whole like building, cities and all that.
I'll check it out. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, take care,
Bye.
Nate. We'll see you next time. So yeah, Nate brought up some good stuff there. Let's see. I'm trying to think back. It was kind of just so much to soak in all at once, and the show started and it was just like gameplay, and after every single trailer, it was like Game Pass Day 1, Game Pass Day 1, Game Pass Day 1, and it just really seemed like that was the theme of the show to me today, and they are really hammering that home. I mentioned I saw some of the social accounts kind of teasing that earlier this week, and I thought maybe they were just kind of, being kind of flippant about it and joking, but they meant it. Like, Game Pass is getting a major release. Just all kinds of, I don't know if you would call these all AAA releases, but there's so much content coming. It seems like there's going to be something for everyone. So I was excited about that aspect of it. Batmat. I see we got Batman up here. Oh, look and Kevin's here too, so we're going to get the whole party in here. Hold on just a second. And Big Chief, who weighed in before the show, so we'll get him up here too. I'm going to crowd the stage. Hold on.
One thing, because I think it'll get lost. Another big one for me was, and I know League of Legends is a decade-old game.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
But yeah, the Riot Games partnership, totally out of left field. Especially getting all the champions right up front. All the agents, that's a huge time investment that they just threw into Game Pass for free. That in itself, I feel like
it's
will
gigantic.
Not only help, it'll help both Game Pass grow and League of Legends as well. That's a huge revitalization, huge lifeblood just pumped into it.
So hear me out. Was that PC focused, or are we going to see some console?
Yeah. That's PC focused.
Well, because they have that mobile version of League that plays great on mobile, and I was just, I for a long time I've really wanted a solid MOBA to come to console and really take off, because I don't think the mechanics on mouse and keyboard, the controller, there's some differentiations, but I feel like it would translate really well to controllers. So I guess I will just keep waiting, but
Smite is good.
Smite is good, and it's a 3D MOBA kind of. I've played that a little bit, especially in early launch. I guess I'm looking for more of a traditional one, but maybe I'm just kind of being a stickler because all I've really played is League and Heroes of the Storm, and that's more that's what I'm looking for. and Blizzard and Microsoft's gonna own Heroes of the Storm. Just saying that.
Well, yeah, you weren't kidding about the time saved, Mikey. That because I haven't played League, but I know for Valorant, which I've played, you're looking at a good 30, 40 hours to unlock all the agents, maybe more. So yeah, that's a big time saver.
Oh, on League, that you can grind for. I'm not sure what the cost and do they have gems or some kind of currency, but I felt like I'd have to play for a week to unlock a character. With a good string of wins and stuff. So Jax was my main. It's been a while since I played League. I'm excited for that though. That's a great partnership. Riot Games is huge, and even if they're not that big in the console space, like they're just gigantic.
So just so you know, the estimated time to unlock an actual agent, and this is why it was big to me. It's 15 to 30 hours per agent, depending on how much XP you get a game.
Yeah, that seems right.
So you're looking at hundreds of hours. Now you have access to everything. That's big to me. That was because I remember Smite did that. They had to unlock every champion badge or pack that you could get for $30 that would continue to expand throughout the life of the game. And I don't think League of Legends ever had that or anything like that. It's still a huge get to me.
Yeah, Smite's big value with that pack.
I mean, part of me, for me, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Part of my motivation to play these games is the unlocks, and I know that you can probably still earn cosmetics and all that will still be in gameplay. But for me, like working toward characters is kind of a fun thing, and you learn each character. Like having everything thrown at you all at once is almost overwhelming. But it seems like a very small nitpick for my part. I'm sure it will land well. So really excited for that, and I'm glad to see Xbox and partnering up with a major developer. Like Riot's just huge now, so that's great.
I wonder if there's going to be account linking. That's what I was worried about when they first announced it. Like the people who do have time, like for instance with me in Valorant, I played like the beta, so I have like the beta icon on my gun. I would like that to carry over to my Xbox account. You know, even though they give me all the agents, it's like, well, that's cool, but I have some cool cosmetics. You know,
it'll probably just be you going on the Riot page, logging your account, just linking your Xbox account, and then whatever system they have sees if you have Game Pass.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. You know.
Yeah, that would make sense. I did want to welcome up Big Chief, who joined us in the pre-gaming. So welcome back to the stage, guy. And we wanted to get your takes after the show now and see how you're feeling about things. And you can unmute yourself with the mic. There you go.
I'm sad.
Big Chief is sad.
Yeah.
Let us hear it.
I was hoping for some Halo stuff, and the most we got was a Flight Simulator DLC.
Yeah,
hold on.
The closest.
Halo was in the showcase. On that splash page, they showed Halo Season 3 as one of the games coming in the next year.
And also, apparently, they're going to show it at that extended showcase in a couple days. So,
this is worth pointing out. We do have an extended showcase coming on Monday or Tuesday, early next week, which will
Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll
right.
deep dive on a lot of this
There's
stuff.
hope.
A little bit of hope.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all I really wanted to say.
Come up here and share your sorrows, man. You and me, I can go cry in the Final Fantasy VII remake corner, and you can sit in the Halo corner, and we'll be sad together. But was there anything that at least saved the show for you? What was your highlight?
Yeah, there were actually a couple good ones. I'm honestly debating picking up Redfall. That
looked fun.
That game from the guy who made the Rick and Morty looks pretty funny and entertaining. So there were a couple things.
High on Life.
Yeah, High on Life. That's it.
So there's a gosh, I can't think of the game. Do you guys know it? It was VR based, created by Rick and Morty creators, and it was almost like playing a Rick and Morty episode. It was.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It was fun. And my daughter played all the way through it, and she had a great time. The humor was just amazing. Kind of spot on for that show if you're into it. So yeah, I'm also excited to see what they can come up with next.
Yeah, and Starfield also looked pretty good. It's honestly more than I was expecting. Like way more.
That's a good take. It was. They just kept like shoving stuff out there. They're like, oh, by the way, you can do this and this. Oh, and there's space combat, and there's 82 planets, and you can explore every planet fully. And it just kept going on and on. It was fantastic.
I know, it's insane.
I mean, Starfield. I mean, it was just a trailer, so obviously we don't know the full scope of the game. But what they showed, it literally looked like they were showing off, like, "Hey, this is what Star Citizen should actually be," and we're coming out with it.
Yeah,
Are you talking underwater?
Matt,
I don't know what's going on my
I
don't know what's going on my
earbud. From
earbud.
space.
Yeah.
I think I got what you were saying, though.
Starfield look really, really good.
What?
I think it's great. So yeah, awesome, Big Chief. Thanks for joining us today. We hope to see you again and have you up in the future, and we hope that on Tuesday we get that that Halo news that you're looking for.
Hopefully.
Take care, mate.
Thanks.
You have a good
See ya.
one. Yep, you bet.
You too.
Do I sound better now?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I thought you were just going for that authentic feel, and like I'm like you were in orbit. So, what else did we want to talk about today that we saw today?
Do we want to talk our 3 to 4 minutes of Forza?
Bro,
Yep. Let's
that was from a glance. That stuff looks realistic.
We've agreed. You can curse today. I'm just gonna tag it explicit. That was it did look a lot better than I expected.
Yeah, motorsport. I've never seen the world quite look like that, and some of the up close reflections as other cars were passing by. So it wasn't a still photo. That was pretty neat. I think the only thing that didn't super stand out to me, but it's not stuff you're gonna really zoom in on. Like they were showing the damage to the vehicle. I thought it was nice, but it wasn't jaw dropping like some of the other ray tracing elements. They kept throwing out the term ray tracing. It was like, are they sure ray tracing is in the game? Because they only mentioned it 12 times.
I think it's just for that mode where you like inspect your car when you're in the shop. Because I would be shocked if it was been for the actual racing.
I think it's in the racing. I'm pretty sure it's throughout the game.
I'm wondering what it's going to do to performance though, because like how there's usually like a ray trace mode and it's like 30 frames. Hopefully there's a ray trace performance mode where you can get 60 but like low ray tracing. I mean, it might not look as good as those trailers showed, but that happy medium.
Yeah, it might be something like ray tracing shadows with maybe a little bit extra, but lighting is usually the big heavy hitter when it comes to ray tracing.
I was just joking.
Also, I enjoyed the callback now to Forza Horizon 5, and we're getting Hot Wheels again, because that was a DLC I didn't really get to get into before. And
yeah, that'd breathe some life into that game. That game just had its first update in over a year, which maybe I didn't need updates. I mean, it was a great base game, but that was that Hot Wheels thing. I was like, nah, that's gonna be dumb. And then I saw it, I was like, oh, that could be fun.
Oh yeah, I played in Horizon 3. It's a very fun DLC. It looks like they've expanded on what they're going to do with it in that trailer.
If you guys are in the audience and you have any hot takes, we want you to come up and share them. You can talk about anything that you saw on the show today or didn't see, and we'd love to hear that. So we're just kind of recapping everything that happened today and trying to soak it all in.
I got one thing. I'm hoping that with Redfall, that it's actually playable solo. Because those games tend to have issues where they're very heavily focused on you always playing with a team, and the solo experience is just terrible.
It sounded.
Oh yeah, I know.
It sounded like it was drop in, drop out co-op style, like a Borderlands title would be.
I think it's.
Yeah, I saw that, so I'm hoping that they actually did the solo experience right, because you're just never going to always have people online to play with, it sucks. You want to wait around with what was that game last year, that zombie game everyone forgot about?
I actually know what you're talking about. Oh, go ahead.
Are you Back for Blood?
Yeah, that the game everyone forgot about. Like that game's only fun with people, really, not solo.
It's funny because we were watching the Redfall trailer and I'm like, this looks great. I'm like, this is solo focused, right? Like I kept saying it over and over, and Mikey kept like, no, I think it's kind of co-op focused, and I was like, oh man, it's just I just want to go through this one by myself. I'm going to be antisocial on this one, so it's looking really good. We haven't heard anything about Redfall since like the trailer since last year, so it was great to see just some of the footage and what's happening with it, and I was actually really impressed.
Yeah, it very much felt like Dishonored meets Color. So to me, fair. I love that art style. It looks great. It looks, at the end of the day, what you want a video game to be is fun, and it looked fun. That was the part that got me interested, because it's got to be fun to play, right? And if it's just pretty looking, you drop it, you benchmark it, you drop the game and walk away. A fun game stays, and that looks like it might have a little bit of life to it. Yeah, more so than I thought.
Watching some footage again right now, and it just the knockback mechanics when you shoot someone, like just the mob mechanics are great. Some of them burn up and they lighten up the sparks like you would see at the top of a fire. Like it's just really looking fantastic. So that's another one to kind of keep on your radar for sure. Welcome, Kevin.
Hey, bud. Yeah, man. What an amazing show.
So
How was the front seat view?
It was pretty amazing. I mean, that screen was pretty big. The music's loud, as you can probably hear in the background. They're playing some lo-fi stuff, and then, yeah, man, what an amazing showcase.
I gotta. We were kind of worried about you that they might drop a car on you, but that didn't happen. So we're glad you made it out safely.
Yeah, me too. Definitely no cars here, but yeah, just I did want to follow up. I will be picking predictions later on today. This event ends in about a few hours, so I'll pick the predictions, and then I also picked up some goodies to give away for you guys, the community. So stand by for that. I'll kind of detail that a little bit more later, but yeah, amazing showcase.
Nice. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So any kind of tchotchkes or any kind of stuff that you can score up for us, please do. Don't be afraid to beg on our behalf.
No problem at all. I got to jump out, but definitely, guys, awesome showcase. Thank you guys for doing the podcast and everything like that. I hope you guys liked it.
Yeah, it was pretty good, and we got to see that. If you guys happen to check us out on YouTube, Kevin walked around the floor earlier today and showed us some of the stuff going on there. And I still have a question for you, and maybe we'll get that next week's Xbox Talks. But there was that display for the gamer tag. It had a screen next to it, and I forget exactly what was all entailed there, but I'll get those details from you next time. So glad you had a great time at the show, man.
Yeah, the gamer tag mural. So I guess what they're going to do is they're going to make a picture with all of our gamer tags is what it's going to be. So looks really, really cool. They're designing it right now live. And then, yeah, I'll take a picture of it once it's done. I think they said they're going to send it to all of us. So I'll be able to post that on the sub as well.
Yeah, nice. Make sure to get all of us.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, we all went on there, so make sure to get all of our gamer tags in there, please.
I'll see what I can do for y'all. All right, guys.
Yes.
Have an awesome day.
Have a good one, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's great that we had somebody there. So Kevin got to enjoy all of the excitement firsthand. So, what were the lowlights of the show? I think we can kind of go there. Like, what were you just like, well, this is kind of not landing for me and not making it. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, I think there's only one for a lot of people. And again, it could just be different when we play the game, but I feel like a lot of people are just kind of meh when it came to as dusk falls. So I think that might be more of an honest style.
All right, that was the yeah. I had some questions and issues with that. I was just like the way the style was, like it's really detailed, right? The art is really great, but
yeah,
it was like a second, and then they would cut ahead 3 seconds, and like it was kind of like stop motion, but also really slow, and I'm not sure how that's going to play out in a game.
Exactly. I didn't know what kind of game it was because like there were scenes where it was obviously 3D objects moving around like in a normal game, but then it cut to like, you know, those Steam games that you play that are just like cut, like pages that you cut to type of deal.
Yeah, and you can score points for style, but you could also turn people off with it as well. So I think one of the things that was intriguing about that game is when they showed the stories and how your choices would impact it, and also that it was multiplayer in some form, which is something that Mikey
8
picked
players.
up. Yeah.
How does that work? I don't know how that's going to work.
Right. How does that work? I think go ahead.
I'll go ahead.
No,
I was just going to say, there was a game that I felt like, I mean, this wasn't a low light for me. I'm actually really excited about it. But I feel like it just kind of got glossed over, I think, because it was around that time of when As Dusk Falls was shown. So a lot of people were probably like, you know, saying, man, this game's awful and was too busy in chat. But the Ereband game, that Assassin's game where you were jumping between the shadows, I think that game looks awesome. And I don't see anyone really that hyped about it. I'm like, that's really cool. There's like a shadow mechanic and it's a stealth game. You know, I don't know why people aren't excited for that at all. It looks a lot of fun. I'm
sure people are excited for it. It's just one of those things that there was a lot going on today, and despite it got a little overlooked.
Yes, Starfield just creates this giant vacuum, and it's sucking up all the news. So I'm sure in a couple of days you'll start being like seeing posts on the subreddit like, "Hey, anyone missed this little gem of a game that got shown?"
I will say at this point now, Starfield has to be amazing. It has to be a 9.5 to 10 game. And anything short is probably going to be a disappointment for people, but it looks like they're well on their way. So Bethesda has that track record. We know what to expect, and everything's lining up to make this to be maybe a generational game.
I think my disappointment, and I know the focus, and I talked about this, the 12 months of the next 12 months of Xbox, and that was their focus. I wish we would have got a future of Xbox segment, because they teased titles like Avowed, Outer Worlds. They've talked about Fable. They've teased Gears, in the media. Contraband has been talked about. We would have liked to have seen a small update on those, I believe, and I think that's where we gave it. Grim gave it a 7, you gave it a 7.5, and I gave it the 7.5 Mark II, or 7.5 to 8. I think that's where our disappointment lies. Is we wanted to know how those games are doing. We wanted to see something with Fable. A lot of people, me especially, wanted to see Avowed. The Banjo rumors, GoldenEye. We wanted to hear something about them. So to have them teased, a couple years ago or last year, and then to hear nothing, you expect to see something. You build up this excitement, and it's gone. Luckily for them, they had Starfield to save it.
They did. GoldenEye has achievements.
To me, was a disappointment.
Man. Like GoldenEye had all these achievements dropped. Like everything seemed like I just forgot about that until you mentioned it. So I guess that's why I'm surprised. But like, how did that not show up today at the game show? Like that everybody was expecting it. Everything was there. Like it was pretty much basically leaked, and we all know about it, and not a word.
Honestly,
go ahead.
I know you're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and like it kind of leaves us in the same spot as we were going in, where like Mikey's like, oh, I'm looking at games coming up and I see Hello Neighbor. Well, it's still there. You know what I mean? We didn't get anything that pushed it out of the way. Like,
Persona did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True.
Oh my God, we didn't even touch on that yet. Wow.
But yeah, it's like we're still in that perpetual waiting phase, which I understand because world events and things, but like. There has to be something. Like GoldenEye would have been fine to drop today. You know what I mean? Like the achievements are there. They dropped games before where the achievements didn't work. The Ascent, half of them were bugged when you tried playing that, early on. They had to patch that out. So it's like, if there's a problem with that, just give us something. We need to play something. All these people were like, oh, look at all these cool games. 2023 though, it's like that's kind of far away. We're only halfway through this year.
Yeah, and not a single day one drop. Absolutely shocking to me. That I think I kind of went over that earlier. There were definitely some misses, and there's lots of stuff we didn't see today that was expected to be seen. A lot of those rumors out there were getting pretty far-fetched. I think Prey 2 really blew up yesterday because so-and-so said they had some inside information, which is something that we have to balance on the subreddits, because when we see these stories, what we try to do is we try to see, like, is there a credible source? Is there tangible evidence, or is somebody just shooting from the hip? Because a lot of these Twitter insiders, I feel like that's what they do. They're just like, they take their best guesses at it, and if they hit, then they're just like, yeah, I had all the inside info, and if they miss, they kind of tuck their tail between their legs and run away. So it's a balancing act, but just wrapping that up.
Prey 2 one.
Oh, what's
seems
that?
Random to me. The Prey 2 one seems random to me because we know they're working on Redfall.
Yeah, like what's Bethesda doing? And this is the same reason.
Arcane's busy.
Right. Same reason I didn't have any real hope for Pinatas today. It's kind of my inside joke, but Rare's busy, man. Rare's got a lot of stuff going on. They don't have time to be cranking out, a Pinata game on the side, on the back burners. So I'll hold my time for that.
Yeah, nothing on Everwild either, and that game was teased a couple years ago.
Yep, that game is really. I'm kind of, if I'm concerned about any property that's been announced, that's one of them. Like, what's going on there? That subreddit has like 40 people, and there's just no buzz for it. And it's just. I don't know.
To follow up on everyone, I don't think they're going to show everything, but I think their main focus, after taking criticism from the past few years, was just to show stuff coming out soon for people today. I think extended showcase will be where they'll not talk about every project that's been talked about, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get at least a little bit of news on like Avowed or Fable, and maybe that's where they'll show off that GoldenEye game.
It could be the spot for the day one drops if we're still holding out hope for those. And that actually, I hadn't really considered that. It really seems like you would have wanted to do it today. You knew you had all the buzz and the big audience, but I guess I'll hold out a little hope that we'll get some more details on some of these misses that we're talking about. So if you guys are in the audience, this is your chance to weigh in on what you saw today and what you didn't see and maybe what you want to see. So you can go ahead and raise your hand and we'll bring you up on stage. And we're just kind of doing a wrap-up show today and taking reactions to what we saw on stage. And we're trying to digest it, really, and seeing how everything went for us. So I feel like there was room for improvement today, and I think a 7 was really a fair score to give it. It wasn't terrible and it wasn't amazing, but it was good enough. That's where I'm at with it.
Spring's gonna be freaking packed though. Next year.
Oh yeah, I think 2023 and 2024 we're really gonna start seeing all these games that maybe got set back with the pandemic and everything finally come out and finally hit us in the face. So with all that said, it was nice having Kevin down there today, and like I said, I'm just I'm still trying to process everything. I'm really excited for Starfield. I think that was a great close, don't you guys? Like we discussed maybe that they might show like 5 minutes at the beginning, but they decided to use that as their big show off, and like I said, the pressure is just immense now. Like it just has to be an amazing game, and I hope that's where we're going with it.
Yeah, it was a 15-minute presentation that was well worth it. I'm
was it
glad they're
15
waiting
minutes?
to wrap it up.
Yeah, they devoted a good chunk of time. This is obviously what they're betting on. as far as I can tell, this is like this game, like I said, it has to land for them. There's just so much pressure with it, and I just can't imagine working on it right now. And I think that's why they delayed it. They knew that this has to be not a perfect game. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, but it has to be pretty damn close.
I think what they're... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what do you think this is gonna do for like Outer Worlds 2? You know what I mean? Like, I hope that doesn't get lost in the shuffle just because Starfield just takes out the entire like space RPG genre for a while.
No, that game is 2 years away. It has plenty of time for Starfield to cool down before Outer Worlds comes out.
Yeah, what I
so
see,
2 years.
what I was gonna say is, this spring we're gonna get Starfield. This fall, this is just my guess. Next fall, we're gonna get Avowed. The next RPG of the year for 2024 will be Fable. 2025 will be Outer Worlds 2. 2026 or 2027 will be Elder Scrolls. That would be my guess as of right now.
Oh, you hurt me, but you're right.
They're looking to line up RPGs, a big RPG, one every year, which is huge. I mean, if you're a huge RPG fan, you spend hundreds of hours in those games and you eat them up. You dive into them. Skyrim had a leg of... I mean, it's incredible how long Skyrim has lasted with the modding community, and I expect Starfield to be no different. So we're going to have a game that comes out every year where it's this big RPG set-piece moment filled with other games around them. I think that's their big aim right now. So I think next showcase, if we're going to talk about that for a moment, we'll see Avowed. We may see Fable. Maybe. We'll probably see something about Gears. And then like compulsion games, machine games, the stuff that we didn't see this time that's coming late 2023, early 2024. They're setting it up for that, I believe.
Yeah, and Phil, when Phil was out,
I have to say, I don't know if anyone else noticed it, but I played a decent amount of Fallout 4, and I don't know if they're reusing animations, but a couple of the guns in there reminded me of the laser rifle from Fallout 4 with how it was shooting.
Got real Fallout vibes with the combat in that game, minus the VAT system, but yeah, the weapons fired a lot like Fallout weapons in real time, so that was actually good to see for me. I'm very satisfied with the combat system of Fallout, so if they kind of work from there and build up from it, I'll be excited to see that. It was weird because when Phil was out, he kind of hit on those things, but he didn't really like. How do I want to put this? He hit on the point that Game Pass is going to have a constant stream of quality content, but he didn't really get into specifics on how that's going to happen, other than just displaying this big buffet of games to us. We didn't get a lot of release dates on things, and I feel like we're getting closer to his vision for Game Pass. Like Mikey was saying with his role-playing game release schedule there, I think that's kind of the way they want to go, where they have constant content like that. But it remains to be seen if they can deliver. And obviously, we all hope they can, and we all expect them to. But the track record has been a little hit and miss. And I'm a huge Xbox fan, and first and foremost, it's my primary gaming system or platform. But I want to see, like, they seem like they're so close, man. They have everything they need to make this the top gaming platform in the world almost. But I mean, obviously Sony, and we can get into all that. But it just seems like they're not quite there yet, and they just need like a little bit of a boost to finally be where we want them to be.
I was gonna say, out of all the game companies so far this year, Microsoft showed up. Sony was, they had third-party games there too, but the third-party games we showed were Game Pass day one.
Yeah, everything.
And I say we, I probably shouldn't say that. I don't work for Xbox. Sony, by comparison, what I know this is an Xbox show, but I gave it like a 3 or a 4. There wasn't anything there. The Hideo Kojima thing is something you would have expected at the PlayStation Showcase to be a stunner.
Big get.
And we barely even talked about that. Granted, there's nothing to talk about, but you're going to get something weird, creative. And if the rumors are true, if it's Overdose and it's a horror game, think PT. Think how much hype just that demo had, how incredible PT was. If they allow Kojima to do some sort of horror game, it's going to be an absolute smash. So I'm super hyped for that. There's a lot of good from this showcase. It just wasn't what we hyped it to be, but everybody does that. Everybody overhypes everything, which sucks with leaks, rumors, and all this other stuff. We overhype everything. I think what's his name just hits it right on the head. Don't ever overhype yourself, and maybe we shouldn't do that in the future. But we'll probably see Avowed next year and all that, and all those good games. Xbox showed up though, I think, compared to what else we've seen.
They solidly showed up. You can nitpick about what wasn't shown and what was, but this was a substantial show of a lot of content. So I agree with you there. Leneru 21. I tried my best. How you doing?
Yeah, I feel like everybody is looking at Xbox, but overall the output by the entertainment industry, if you compare to any games like PlayStation, Nintendo, and movies and TV shows, all development is slowed down, and I think this is the gap this year from COVID to I would say 2023. So a lot of titles had to be delayed a year plus, and also I think Cyberpunk affected the development of games, and Halo, because that was a huge disaster that I think Phil had to have a very difficult discussion with Satya about in a very quiet office.
Yeah, those are really good points. That it's better to cook these games than to rush them out, I think, is what you're getting at.
Yeah, and it sucks, but I would rather take a 7-month gap for the industry just to catch up, rather than have 3 or 4 titles that are going to be developed for 7 months while being released at the same time.
Sure, and I think Halo was a special case. We had a new console launch, and that was supposed to be a launch title, so I cannot imagine the pressure. If they could make a documentary where I could watch what happened at 343 during the entire development cycle of that game, I would be glued to it, because that had to be a fascinating story.
I was wondering why they didn't make another sprint series like they did for Halo 5, but all the journalist rumors and all the Glassdoor reviews and everything from 343 employees, it's easy to tell they had too much management issues and they didn't want to show that in their own documentary.
They just leave that part out.
Yeah, I look at 343 as a studio that was around with I would say old Xbox 360 era, to Xbox One. So I could imagine that a lot of positions in there were from the old days. So I'm imagining it's pretty difficult for the new philosophy of Xbox to influence them and their development cycles. And maybe this is what we're seeing.
I think that's a really great point. Yeah, it's old blood versus new blood kind of thing. And that happens with anything that gets a little long in the tooth. If you want to keep it relevant, you have to keep innovating, but you can't do so to your detriment, that sounds like a bunch of hogwash, but you you have to stay true to your roots, but you you have to expand on them at the same time, and that's a difficult balance for sure.
One
Yeah.
company that I'm surprised didn't show up. Sorry to just interject. I just realized In Exile, where were they?
It's like my favorite social media account of any gaming company. I just want to throw that in there. That like whoever runs that is fire. But yeah, totally absent from today's show.
I just remember that, and they seemed to be hyped. There's so much that I think we wanted to see coming down the pipeline. It just didn't yet.
I mean,
so.
I how much can we lean into this extended show? Like, I really just I expect that to be a deep dives. Like, I expect that to be expanding on what we've already seen. I'm not looking for any new announcements or Game Pass drops, but maybe they have some surprises for us.
I think last year they had like a couple announcements, nothing major, but yeah, it's mostly showing new footage for games that they showed at the main show and talking about it with the developers.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy VII Remake Game Pass Day 1 drop is probably out of the loop, huh? That's my last hope.
I think with that, my take is that Square Enix is, they're running out of money. They're selling off their Western studios. Sony wrote them a check that says, "Hey, keep it off Game Pass," and that's some guaranteed money for them.
But Mikey, why would they make it not exclusive on their game store anymore?
That's how I
Why
feel
do
about
that to
it.
me?
Sony keeps writing a check.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what's happening.
So whether we'll see it someday, I don't know. As long as they keep getting guaranteed money from some sources, all their other titles always fail to hit expectations because they expect Hitman 3 to sell 1 billion copies.
You know what? I can be content with Dragon Quest. It's been the better series anyway. So there, hot take.
I would treat this extended showcase. What is it? Monday? When is it?
Tuesday. Yeah, I just did the same thing.
Yeah. I would treat it like the Nintendo Direct. Like we're probably just going to see more gameplay, maybe some surprises, but that I can't say that we're going to see anything major.
No, I think that's
hit.
Yeah, that's absolutely a fair take on that. So, thanks so much for coming up today. And did you have any closing thoughts for us that we're gonna kind of rotate through and try to wrap things up here?
I wasn't here early, so I don't know if you guys talked about Minecraft, but I'm very excited about the new Minecraft game. That was announced.
Yeah, we touched on that a little bit. Kind of up and down takes on it, but we're excited to see what they can cook up, and it has a lot of potential. So if you're into real-time strategy or tower defense, like that could be a lot of fun. And I do like some tower defense games, so don't take my takes the wrong way. So
seems like a perfect cloud game.
Yeah, yes, good point.
And one last thing, speaking of Minecraft, I was pretty surprised that we didn't hear anything about next-gen consoles for Minecraft. It's been quite a while, and we haven't heard any new developments.
I mean, in the back of my head, when we were watching the Forza trailer, and they were like, ray tracing, I'm just like, where the hell is Minecraft, man? And it's the same question everybody's been asking. Like, how do we not have this beautiful next-gen? We've all seen footage. It's out there on YouTube, and it's
something's going on in the background.
I have a guess with that.
Please do.
They've been focusing so much on new IPs lately. I actually think what they're waiting for is some big overhaul of Minecraft, and that's where they drop ray tracing.
But then they just do that like 3 or 4 years ago when they went to Bedrock.
They did.
That was one.
They built the game up from the ground up again. From Java to C, which it runs phenomenally better in the Bedrock edition. The Java edition runs like absolute. So I'm just gonna say that. But the Bedrock edition, you could overhaul something else. You could change so many things about it, and I feel that's where maybe they're dropping it and they're just saving it. That's my uneducated guess at this point, because I don't see any other reason why they haven't brought ray tracing to the current edition of Minecraft. It doesn't make any sense. It was something that was talked about years ago, and we're just waiting now.
Small indie studio.
If there's a post I both lament and love at the same time, we see this question asked every week. They're just like, where is ray tracing in Minecraft? And it's such a huge ask, and Microsoft has to know this. So whatever the holdup is, there must be a good reason for it. But I think maybe you're onto something. There might be a big kind of a revamp or a big update to Minecraft, and that would be the time to drop it. But in the meantime, people are just absolutely losing their mind over the fact that it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, they just finished with 1.19, so maybe 1.2 could have some major improvements. Who knows?
Yeah, or like, hey, I'm not opposed to 2.0. Let's see what happens. So it's a very interesting topic. So go ahead.
I was gonna say I missed it because I didn't pause it during the stream. But did they show Deathloop on that graphic for games coming to Game Pass? Because that's coming out this September.
That's really, I was actually trying to keep track because it seemed like after every single piece of footage, it was like Game Pass Day 1, Game Pass Day 1. So I can't
I'm
say
looking at the
specifically.
graphic right now.
Mikey will let us know.
It's not.
That's weird. We know it's coming this year. I'm just surprised they didn't put it on the list.
I would think. Hold on. So they get a full year of exclusivity. I don't think they can talk about it until then. I don't think they can announce it.
Good
Same
old
with
marketing rights.
Diablo. They talked about it, but they didn't show coming to Game Pass because they can't until that deal's done.
We didn't touch on this. I think that we did not see PlayStation on the Diablo 4 title screen, did we?
No, it said it was coming to Xbox and PC.
This is interesting for a lot of different reasons. First of all, is that the deal wasn't complete. So if they were like trying to lean into Xbox a little bit, this would be the bad time to do it by all accounts I've read. But that's just a really, that really stood out to me. That's some news, and I hope people pick up on it and find out what's going on.
I know we want to finish up, so I'll do my one last thing. I didn't expect anything from Blizzard, so I was surprised with Diablo, but I was really happy that we got the Overwatch 2 news. So looks like we officially have a rough release date with that early access date they released. And as someone who played Overwatch heavily back in 2016-17, then dropped it because of the changes, and then playing the beta and they fixed everything that I had an issue with, I'm really excited for this release.
Also, small note. The open beta signups went live earlier today for Diablo 4, and PS5 was on the list. So,
I should have known that because I actually posted that to the subreddit, but I got distracted by the.
You're fired.
Yeah, I know. What the hell? I can't keep track of all the news.
But that's another thing that's probably coming to Game Pass, assuming that deal closes by that time.
Sooner than later, we all hope. So that's going to be a big boost for Xbox and what they're doing. So let's see. I think that's about it, guys. What a long day. It's been a marathon. It's been great, though. I love this stuff, and I wish it could happen every month. But we're going to ride out the summer. We're going to learn more about these news stories and about what was shown today. We're going to start a new Starfield countdown because we know it's not coming in the fall. But I think we're all still pretty hyped about it. And yeah, any last shot? You want to close this out and kind of share your closing comment about what you thought about the show today and what you're happy about and what you're expecting. So let's start with Mikey. Let me throw you right on the spot.
Well, I've talked about this. We have a lot to look forward to over the next year. A lot of games are dropping in Game Pass. There's probably still going to be announced. They love to announce things like, and I had wished Gotham Knights would come to Game Pass. That's a great announcement to do, say, at Gamescom. Something like that. So there's a lot to look forward to. Right now, Game Pass is packed, and it will be more packed. We're getting tons of games coming to it. Starfield looked incredible. Redfall was a surprising title that nobody really expected to be anything, and it looks actually pretty decent. Diablo 4 looked absolutely great. Some of the misses, obviously we didn't see Avowed or anything about Outer Worlds or Gears or Fable or even State of Decay, Everwild, Quake, Doom. A lot of franchises were missing. But with that focus on 12 months, you can guarantee that that's what they're going to be showing next year. They're trying to get that stable stream of content and focusing on what's now, which is jarring because we expected to see some stuff from a couple years out, but we didn't. So we have a lot to look forward to, but we're still getting a lot of stuff now too. And Starfield is way better than I expected, and I'm super excited for it. So here's the Starfield for stealing the show. here's to whatever Hideo Kojima can think up of in his brain, and the rest of Game Pass for the next 12 months. I'm excited. I'm going to be super busy with gaming.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff coming out. That's a really good point. That this show seemed to be focused. I feel like Xbox might be a little gun shy with the stuff that's really far out because of the recent delays and overpromising. I feel like Halo bit them in the ass, and I feel like Starfield did to an extent. I think they saved the day today. We understand now. We're like, oh, yep, you got it. Just take your time and make it work for us. So that's really good stuff there. Ivan, wrap it up for us.
Yeah, I mean, the one that surprised me, like, when you mentioned things like Doom, Wolfenstein, we really didn't have many leaks or anything like that to, like, I guess, give us an idea that was coming. But there was games that were announced, like Hellblade 2. I feel like that was far enough along to at least do what they're doing, like the whole, coming 2023, because, like, we didn't really have anything necessarily narrowed down too tightly with that. It's just, coming in 2023, but we didn't have a month or whatever. I think we could have seen some Hellblade 2, like some more of that, or maybe they feel like enough was already shown, but still, it's like, it was just weird, the omissions, I guess, But yeah, overall, I think we do have a pretty exciting 12 months. Game Pass loves to do their shadow drops, so we never know what we might end up getting, even outside these shows. So yeah, I mean, the list is definitely full, and I think what's really interesting about the list being full is that these are quality games that we're going to get. Like if, like Diablo 4, for example, that's going to take a lot of time to play. Starfield is going to take a lot of time to play. Redfall could take a lot of time to play. I know Left 4 Dead, there's people still can't do veteran runs. It takes forever to try and get that down. So yeah, I see a good future for it, for sure.
Yeah, we have so much in the cooker. It's we just want to see it, and that's what disappoints us. We just want to see Fable. We want to see this stuff. And when we get disappointed, but it's still there. It's still being worked on. None of this stuff is being canceled. There is so many announced projects that I totally forgot about Hellblade 2. Like, we forgot about In Exile for quite a while. There is so much stuff that they are cooking. And we're just getting a taste of it now, and it's exciting taste.
Yeah, for anybody who was like, I'm unsubbing from Game Pass, bye. I mean, see you later, dude, because I'm in fully, and everything they've shown today, if that's what I had to look forward to for the next 12 months, and obviously more. There's lots of stuff that we don't know about. Like, I can't keep up. I still buy games, I do, but Game Pass has put a huge dent into my random, that looks like kind of fun buying. Like, the games I buy are Elden Ring and the games I know that are going to provide a value to me, and I'm really excited for the future of Game Pass. I think that was kind of what the main theme of today's show was, other than Starfield being amazing. It was that Game Pass is an amazing value, and we have stuff for everyone, and that's exactly what showed up today, and it didn't floor me until I think the first Goosies I got, thanks J-Lo from American Idol, but anyways, the first time I really got a chill was during the Starfield trailer and the gameplay especially, and like there's a point in that where I was just like, I need this now, and it all landed very well for me. So I would call the show a success. 2 thumbs up from me. Matt, close it up.
Video games good. No, I'm joking.
Excellent take.
No, yeah, it was a solid show. Not a bad one, not a great one. It was just a solid show. Had some good stuff like Starfield. Those ship animations were amazing. I can't wait to see more of their animation work. And and surprise announcements. I don't think anyone expected Diablo or Overwatch there. So I think I'm looking forward to the showcase on Tuesday. Them talking more about some of the stuff they showed. I think we're gonna probably get some more exciting gameplay, especially with Diablo.
Yeah, that'd be a good spot to get some more news. Diablo was a little bit of a surprise today. They obviously could have gone to the Jeff show, to the Summer Game Fest there, especially if they're targeting multi-platform. But no, they decided to wait and bring it into the Xbox show. So we know it's a balancing act with the acquisition still pending, but that shows to me that they're hey, we know who's going to be the boss pretty soon, and we'll bring our content over here. So and I wasn't really expecting that much, but that absolutely floored me, only to be kind of one-upped by Starfield at the end of it. So as I said, kind of when we opened the show tonight, those 2 games right there I could play probably for 4 years. I could spend 2 years on each of them and and be totally satisfied, and then everything else just becomes gravy to me. So we're excited to see that extended show coming on Tuesday. Thanks, Matt, for clarifying that. And we will have some news next week on our regular podcast where we'll have some time to soak this all in and kind of read some of the internet takes and some of the news, and I'm sure there will be interviews and expanded content. We can't wait to kind of wrap that all up and put a bow on it and see where we're headed for the rest of this year. So thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks everybody who has been here since early this morning when we started our pre-show. Went through the entire show together, and then this post-show. It's like a gamer holiday, and I've just had so much fun today. So thanks so much, everybody. I think we'll wrap it up there. Take care, everyone.
Yep.
Take care.
Yep, you too. Have a good night, all.